No, that wasn't your phone. But there is a high chance you thought it was, or even felt a vibration in your pocket. And you're not alone. Millions, if not billions of people all around the world hear and feel their phone go off, even though it never actually did. A phantom vibration. Is it the phone companies toying with you? Is it that you are going mad? Is it the clothes we wear giving us false sensations? Well, in this week's episode, we dive into the strange yet common sensation of phantom phone vibrations. Right off the bat, I want to say, no, it's not the phone companies messing with you and slowly driving you insane. Though, that would make a great premise for a book. There has been third-party studies showing that the phones are acting how they're supposed to. It's not them, it's you. Sorta. But you aren't alone. Like I said, millions, if not billions of people get phone vibrations that never actually happened. Some people even get phone rings that never happened, which is odd for me, for I've had personally the ghost vibrations, but never a ghost ringing phone. In fact, only around 30% of people at one time have experienced false phone ringing, so it's not that common. But phantom vibrations? Well, it's so common it has multiple names and has been called different things depending on the time period. Things like crackberry, ringxiety, and the most common, phantom vibration syndrome. Don't worry, it's real. You're not hallucinating. Now, phantom rings, they may have happened before the era of cell phones and nobody wrote it down, but the phantom notification didn't really make its debut in modern society till people started carrying around communication devices on them. Insert the era of the pager. For those who don't know, pagers were the great-grandfather to the cell phone. And I feel old having to explain what a pager is. Anyhow, by the 1970s, pagers were common in many people's lives, and humans, well, we started to be attached to the hip by them. By the 80s, pagers were almost a everyday item. And I suspect that is when phantom vibrations as we know it started. But it wouldn't be until 1996 when phantom notifications was first mentioned in pop culture, and out of all places, it was a comic strip. The comic strip was Dilbert, which was made by Scott Adams. You would most likely remember the comic strip if you saw it. It was a popular comic about office life. But in Dilbert, the first pop culture mention of strange vibration, which Scott Adams called phantom pager syndrome, made its appearance. Fast forward a few years into the 2000s, and the BlackBerry would make tidal waves across the technology and business worlds. A device in your pocket that you could type and communicate with. People got used to it and got addicted to it fast. The term crackberry came into existence because of it. An addiction, a form of compulsive behavior. People wanted, needed, and constantly checked their BlackBerry for new messages. So much so that phantom pager transformed into phantom phone ringing. Then, over a decade later, the first smartphone would come out, and the technology adoption would explode to a point where we are today, where basically everyone has a smartphone. And with it, a ghostly sensation that seems to possess every new communication device. A phantom vibration, the sensation of your phone vibrating for no reason. It's almost like communication devices are possessed. Now, where does it come from? That's where things get tricky. The exact reason depends on who you are. If your body is more adapt to touch, or you become extremely familiar with a common occurrence, then, well, certain frequencies can trick you. For touch, the body has two types of receptors that detect vibration, Meissner and Pacinian corpuscles. One detects lower frequency vibrations, one detects higher frequency vibrations. And cell phones, for the most part, vibrate between 130 to 180 hertz, which is the frequency right in between those two corpuscles. So when that frequency happens outside your pocket, say a TV playing in the background, a car rolling down the street, a busy restaurant, it can cause your body to remember where we normally felt that vibration frequency. Not to mention, the clothes you wear may be an additional factor, or the cause itself triggering the vibration receptors. That's right, the clothes on your back can cause the vibration sense to happen. You see, the body adapts, and having the phone in the same place over and over again, your body and mind starts to look for patterns. So when the item of clothing you are wearing even slightly activates the vibration receptors, the body kind of goes into autopilot mode and tells the brain, hey, there's a vibration happening here. An example. Say you're driving a car, you're going down the road. For the most part, your body doesn't move a lot. After a while, you get a bit stiff, so you adjust yourself. While doing so, the fabric you are wearing gently rubs on the location where you keep your phone. The body feels something where a common vibration comes from, so it figures it is an actual vibration and sends a signal to your brain while driving that your phone went off. Fortunately, I was hoping there was a naked study or a study on nudists to see if the phantom vibration syndrome was caused by clothes solely. Unfortunately, no study like that exists, but I would be curious the percentage your clothes play a factor in the brain making up signals. Sadly, no luck. But as soon as you feel something that mimics or is close to, your brain fills in the gaps. Your clothes rubbing in your pocket, well, your brain could think, hey, that's my phone going off. But clothes isn't the only reason or combination of reasons we know that cause phantom phone vibrations. The reason you may feel phantom vibrations is simple. Because of your brain. No outside stimuli needed. The brain is a fascinating, complex organ. It's capable of causing things to exist that don't actually exist. Why the brain is making up the idea that your phone is vibrating? Well, that cause may stem from a couple possibilities. The first is attention span and boredom. Each new generation is having a shorter and shorter attention span, causing the brain to look for serotonin, a distraction, something interesting to break up the boredom. And you don't actually have to be noticeably bored for phantom vibrations to occur. If you're doing a mundane task or even subconsciously bored, like being in a conversation you really don't care about, the brain can and will make up fake vibrations to break up the monotony. On the flip side of that same coin, it could be due to anxiety, anticipation for something exciting to happen to us, attachment issues, depression, or a number of different mental issues plaguing us. Our phones give us serotonin. Vast majority of us are addicted to our phones in one shape or another. So our emotions of being left out, that no one cares about us, seeking attention, seeking some escapism, or just simply seeking serotonin could be a major reason why your brain gives false validation that your phone in your pocket has just been messaged, even though it hasn't. The mental gymnastics the brain is able to do is astonishing. Either way, whether it be from boredom or mental issues, the brain has the power to cause the non-existing to exist. Don't believe me? Just look at phantom limbs. For those who don't know, when a person loses a limb, say a hand or a foot, that person will still feel that amputee limb for years after it's gone. Somewhere between 80 to 100% of people with an amputee limb feel this strange phenomenon. Weirder yet, whether stress and anxiety can cause that feeling to be worse or more powerful. Translate that to phantom phone syndrome, a society with many people having mental issues and stress could cause the phenomenon of phantom vibration syndrome in many people to be exacerbated. People's brain just trying to keep serotonin coming in, which kind of makes sense to me, especially since the most common people who experience phantom vibration syndrome is young people. By young, I mean 5 to 45, so a pretty large range. And it's never too late or too early to start experiencing phantom vibration syndrome if you feel left out. You can experience it as early as carrying a phone for a month, or it may take a few years, but it seems to be very common. Just depends on a lot of factors. Now going back to the age range. According to one study, and take this study with a grain of salt, it only has 290 subjects in it, but according to one study focusing on undergraduates, 9 out of 10 students said they have experienced phantom phone vibrations at least once. The students who said they never felt it, I am suspicious about. It seems odd to me that they never felt it at least once. I can see it not being a common occurrence, but never once, it's hard for me to believe. And if you go deeper, more than just the vast age range of 5 to 45, you see that your profession also plays a part in the likelihood of you experiencing phantom phone vibrations. It seems students, medical professionals, and people in business have the most likelihood of phantom vibration syndrome. Makes sense that outside factors like profession would play a part in it. Going more deeper into that, where you are physically also seems to play a factor on it. Different countries, different cultures, same profession, have different percentages of people who feel non-real phone vibrations. Wow, that was a weird sentence to say. An example. In America, about 76% of nurses said that they have felt phantom vibrations. Again, take with a grain of salt of the generalization. The sample size for this study was only 232 people. This is tip of the iceberg data. And on the other side of the world, in Taiwan, medical interns, I know, not a direct comparison, nurses to medical interns, but it was the best I could find. The medical interns in Taiwan reported 96% of them experiencing phantom vibrations. Again, not a direct comparison, but it makes sense to me that your country's society, culture, and values would play a factor in the frequency and the population size that experience phantom vibrations. Now, there is another possibility that I came across when researching this. I think it holds some merit, but if I was a betting man, I would bet on all the causes being possible. There is the possibility that our brain is simply looking for patterns. Patterns, patterns, patterns. Our brain loves patterns. Detection theory is a thing for a reason. For those who don't know, detection theory is the ability to tell the difference between important information that comes in a pattern and randomness that occurs that does not matter to us or to the pattern. An example of this. If we receive a text message, or a phone call around the same time every day, a good morning text, a how's your day text, etc., our brain could be making a pattern that at this time, every day, or once a week, we will feel our phone vibrate. Now throw in maybe you're on vacation, or that normal text isn't coming in at its traditional time. The pattern or schedule that we got used to was thrown askew. So the brain does what it does best. It takes what it knows, in this case the pattern, and fills in the blanks. It gives the body a vibration sensation, even though a vibration did not happen. Something I found fascinating in all this is now that phantom vibration syndrome has transformed, and it has gone into smartwatches. It has gone from house phones to pagers to smartphones, now to smartwatches, which is crazy to me. Wasn't quite sure where to fit this in, but I feel like it had to be remarked. But if it makes you feel any better, when you feel your phone go off and it didn't, or you feel a vibration and your phone isn't even on you, you're not going insane. Well, you might be, but we're all going insane with you. Most people, and I do mean most people, feel false notifications. As for the side effects and negatives to having phantom vibration syndrome, there really aren't any, so you don't have to worry about that. Though, depending on what's causing your phantom vibration syndrome, could be a sign that mentally something is wrong, whether it be a phone addiction or something more serious. That is more of a case-by-case scenario. I'll be honest with you. Before researching this, I thought this was going to be more of a pseudoscience issue. But it turns out it's real and common. Phantom vibration syndrome, something that humans have never had to deal with, and we're still trying to figure out. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode and helped slightly put your mind at ease about all those strange vibrations. And with that being said, thank you all for listening.